Well, hello there! I'm Bio, and today we are looking at some anime games. More specifically, we are looking at some Negima games. That is, some Maho Sensei Negima games. Now, I'm not massively familiar with the series. I watched the anime not too long ago, and the version I watched was the Xebec version, not the Shaft version, simply because that the Xebec version, from what I read online, was more faithful to the source material than the Shaft version, and that's literally the only reason why. So that's why I chose to watch the Xebec version. Now, when it comes to the manga, I've no clue. I've never read the manga and I've got no interest in reading the manga. The anime was okay. Wasn't great. It was okay. That's all I really have to say on it. Not really my kind of anime, but it is what it is. And it was okay. And it wasn't great, but it was okay. If I haven't stressed that enough. But one thing I noticed is that many people talk about the Negima video games, and I'll soon come to realize the reason why. So I'll keep in mind I've never played any of these games before. So each and every single one of these games I'm going into blind. There is 10 games total, and that's literally all of the Negima games. So yeah, let's dive right in, shall we? First up, we have Maho Sensei Negima 1 Jikame Okochima Sensei wa Maho Sukai. Yes, you'll notice that pretty much all of these Negima games have got really long game titles. And what a surprise, Konami is in the hot seat here, as Konami was for a lot of anime games. Like, Konami developed a lot of, more, I guess, not as popular anime games. Like, you got Get Backers, which I thoroughly enjoy, but I guess wasn't as popular. They did some iShield 21 games, obviously, you might be aware of from one of my previous videos. So yeah, so what's this game like? Basically, it's a visual novel. It's a visual novel, in my opinion, right? From what I can see, it's a visual novel which has a bit of interactivity. You can move around. There is some 3D graphics here, and you can move around at certain points. But it's more about interacting with characters. It's more interacting with your classmates in this case, because you play as Negi, who is a 10-year-old child prodigy teacher. He's a teacher for this class of high school girls, basically, and he's 10 years old, because that makes sense. That I'm not going to go into detail of what Negima is, what the plot line is behind Negima, because realistically speaking, I imagine you're watching this video for one of two reasons. You either have no clue what Negima is, and in that case, go look it up, or you're already familiar with Negima and you're just curious to see what the games are like. So I wouldn't think this to be the go-to place if you're not aware of what Negima is to begin with. But that's just my 2 cents. So yeah, you can walk around and go interact with different characters and build up trust with those characters. And that's pretty much the whole entire game. I'm pretty sure there might be some mini games here and there. Why not? Throw in some mini games. But yeah, it's all down to building up relationships with your classmates. And that's the game. Just had a conversation, and oh look, my trust has gone up. Look at that magic. Like, this is really, really not my type of game. I'm not even joking. Like, it's to a point where. Yeah, this scene alone is just, look at that, right? This perfect example of, oh yeah, that just so happens to happen, right? She happens to fall on Negi that way, of course. Yeah, it's one of those types of anime, by the way. It's a very itchy anime. And yeah, I had some laughs during it, but for the most part it was a bit of a lot of But that's just in Japan's nature, I guess. But yeah, the first PS2 game, I forgot to mention this is on the PlayStation 2. It's not my type of game, that's all I really can say. Next up, we have Maho Sensei Negima Private Lesson, Dame Desu Toshukan. Developed and published by Marvelous Entertainment, or at least I think Marvelous Entertainment developed it. It doesn't really say, and the game doesn't really tell you, so who knows, right? Marvelous Entertainment definitely published it, though. Basically, it's a card-based RPG. Yeah, this turn-based battle. I'm going up against this rat. I got a bunch of cards. Each of the cards have different attack, HP. I don't know. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? If you lay down a monster with 400 attack and you take on a opponent's monster with 200 attack, you're gonna beat it, obviously. But each turn you pick a card, your opponent picks a card, and you just hope that your card's more powerful than the opponent's card. That's basically it. From what I can tell, where it takes place in the Negima storyline, it takes place when they're trying to go into the library to retrieve a magical book, if I remember correctly. And it looks like possibly that whole entire game might take place during that. It might just center around that, which was like, I don't know, 3 episodes of the anime. Which is fine. It's more, I guess it's more interesting. So we're in the library, and yeah, it's an RPG. You walk around from different place to place. I kind of feel like they're artificially lengthening the game right off the bat, because you have these switches you got to go find, and you got to backtrack sometimes to get to these switches, which makes me kind of believe to myself, could this game possibly not be that long? And the whole purpose of it was that they, added these switches to try and lengthen the game. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. I tend to find most of these anime games, they don't tend to put massive amounts of effort into them. I'm just going to be honest. They don't, if I be honest. Even the modern day anime games, a lot of people have a lot of issues with them, especially those developed by Spike, right? But yeah, it's I guess a card-based turn-based RPG, it's fine, I guess. There's probably some strategy here. For example, he was in his attack phase, so of course I'm going to pick a shield card to boost my defense up, and hopefully then his attack won't reach. I've only got 70 HP, but yeah, and that's basically what the GBA game is. It's okay. I wholeheartedly prefer this over the PlayStation 2 game. So, yeah. Alright, on to the next game. Next up, we have Mahou Sensei Negima 2 Jikame. Tatakao Otometechi Mahora Daiun Do Kai SP. Yes, again, I told you these game names are long, right? Now, this is the sequel to the previous PlayStation 2 game, and it's, in a way, fairly different to the previous game, but it's still, like, a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue before you actually get to the game. But this seems more like, I don't know if you might have watched my iShield 21 video, but there was a game on the PSP where you basically told your team to do certain activities, certain training. I wanted to include this. The weasel is smoking right now, right? I can't remember what that is. It talks. Yeah, it's smoking right now because why not? But yeah, basically you can pick these tasks for your team to do. In this case, your classmates, and then they'll do the set tasks. In this case, it looks like this game is more based around maybe the sports festival or some kind of maybe the gym class, I don't know. But then obviously you set your task for your students to do, and there you go. They then do the task. It kind of reminds me of the iShield 21 game on the PSP, where you could set certain training for them to do, and they would boost their stats before I think you'd get to the game. But maybe who knows, right? I didn't play much of this game, but maybe this game is this. Maybe that's all it is. Just them spinning on poles. I don't know, something like that. One thing I also like to mention, right, the first game, right, the first game was like 12 plus, I'm not even joking, 012. This game's 018, which means this game in Japan is 18 plus. 18 plus for a comic, or a manga in this case, that runs in the Weekly Shonen, what was this, the Weekly Shonen magazine or the Weekly Shonen Sunday? Either way, it's a magazine that's targeted to children between the ages of 10 to 15 years old. And this game's an 18 plus. Are you fucking kidding me? What's going on in this game? This game is pretty much fucking borderline adults only. I'm fucking, a bit of here, a bit of there. Deary me. So yeah, that's what I experienced in the game. The game decided to just freeze out of nowhere, so I couldn't continue playing it. Maybe that was a sign from God to tell me to stop playing this piece of dog shit. But I really don't like these games. They don't really, I know they're in Japanese, but come on, they're just not even my type of games, if I'll be honest. Really not my type of games. All right, on to the next game. Next up, we have the second and final Game Boy Advance game, and that's Mahou Sensei Negima Private Lesson 2, Ojima Shimasu Parasite D2. And yeah, it's pretty much the same as what the previous game was. It's just maybe expanded slightly. You got, it looks like, whereas before I was just playing as Negi, this time I got multiple characters in my team. I'm taking on these slimes. But pretty much it's the same kind of gameplay, the same kind of game as the previous one. The only difference this time with the story is that they're in an old haunted school building, I think. I don't know, I can't even remember that from the anime, so maybe they just made up the scenario, who knows, maybe it did happen. I can't remember this. I remember them going into the library and trying to find a magical book, but I don't remember them going into a haunted old school building. I don't remember that, so maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't, maybe I wasn't paying attention, who knows, right? But yeah, that's what this is, and that's all I have to say. That's all, because that's all it is. It's a sequel to the previous game. Gameplay is pretty much identical, I mean literally identical. I don't know if they've really improved it. I couldn't really tell, I'll be honest. It looked pretty much identical, just with different story. And that's all there is. So, yeah. Okay, next game. Next up, we have the third PlayStation 2 game. Well, not technically the third one in the series, because it hasn't got 3 afterwards, which will be the next one. Anyway, Mahou Sensei Negima, Kagai Jugyo Otome no Doki Doki Beachside. Oh yeah, it's got Doki Doki in the title. That's a good sign, right? Anything with Doki Doki has a really good sign. So yeah, it's basically more of the same, a lot of dialogue. This time though, they plan a class trip to go to the beach. So of course, that's as good as you would kind of expect it would be, by the way. And in case you're wondering why the main character's in these two of his students' dorm room, that's where he sleeps, because that isn't strange at all. I know he's 10, but it's still... So yeah, they go to the beach, and obviously, yeah, we have to see every single character in their swimsuit, of course, and they all have to have different swimsuits. Of course, it's very, very specific and very necessary to talk about. But that's not what this game is about. This game's about, by the way, 018 rating again, by the way. This game is about watching your character of choice do yoga on the beach, and you like doing different button chimes and stuff. And yeah, I'm not gonna speak any further on that. Yeah, a lot of going on here. No, I don't like it. It's strange. Nope. I'm just gonna nope right out of here. I think noping out of here is probably the best thing to do here. Yeah, I'm just gonna nope out of here, I think. I'm just gonna nope the fuck out of here. Okay, next up we have the first DS game from the Negima series. Negima Cho Mahora Taisen Katoin Keiyaku Shikoku Dichai Masu. Because we couldn't have a longer fucking game title, right? I'm not even joking, right? There's a lot of dialogue again, but this seems to be more like a tactics game. Like, you ever play Final Fantasy Tactics Advance or Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions? It kind of reminds me of that. Maybe a bit of Advance Wars, maybe a bit of Fire Emblem. Never played Fire Emblem, but he's kind of a little bit of like Advance Wars in a way. The only difference is a bit strange, is when you get close to enough to your opponent and you go into a fight mode, you basically press different keys on the DS to pull off different attack moves. And each character obviously has HP, but you can pull off different attack moves. That's interesting. I thought this was a bit strange, but no, not too bad. I like the little chibi looks of the characters. That's pretty cool. And yeah, that's about it really. It's, you know, you could do a certain amount of damage per a certain amount of moves, maybe do some combos, you never know, and do enough damage to your opponent. Yeah. I don't think this is too bad. You know, I could have seen myself playing this when I was younger, if it was in English, you know, not too bad. Not, you know, a bit too much dialogue, but, you know, these anime games are too much dialogue, let's be honest. Next up, we have the fourth PlayStation 2 game, but the third game numbered Negima 3 Jikami Koi to Maho to Sekaju Densetsu. Not as long, but still a mouthful in itself. Once again, a lot of dialogue. I think there's a lot of traits that are similar to the previous games, but there's a big difference in this game. And look at it! There you go, there's the big difference. You can actually... There's actually some actual gameplay in these games. Look at that! Woo. My character moving slower than ass, but... yeah, so it looks like there's a play or something, like the homeroom teacher Negi and his students are all like trying to get ready for a play. and you're on a stage taking on these a literal stage, taking on these make-believe monsters. You got knights, you got Digimon. I don't know what the fuck those little plant monsters are. I'm just gonna call them Digimon because why the fuck not? But yeah, you can attack them. You know, you got a health bar, you got an MP bar. It's the makings of looking like an actual fucking video game. Look at that. Fucking who would have guessed, right? 4th game in, 3rd game in terms of numbers. But yeah, it's okay. You know, the punches and kicks or whatever he's doing is fine. The magic's fine. It kind of homes in on the characters. They don't really put out much of a fight, if I'll be honest. It's okay. It's okay. I think it's an improvement. I think it's good they're going in this direction. I'm glad, but still, it just feels like it could have done with a little bit more polish. But the one thing I always forget to mention, which I haven't mentioned so far, is they released all 10 of these Negima games between the years 2005 and 2007. The very first game came out in January 2005. The last game related to the Negima series came out in June 2007. So between the process of 2.5 fucking years, they released 10 games. Again, that's not just from Konami, but from Marvelous Entertainment as well. But it just, to me, it says a lot about the quality of these games. Next up, we have the final DS game, and that is, I'm not even joking, literally the longest title, Negima Chomahora Taisenchu Chekin Zenin Shugo Yapari Onsen Kichai Mashita. Yeah, it's about hot springs. They go to a hot springs, by the way. Yeah, of course they would. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? I do like this overworld, though. Kind of reminds me of Spirited Away. I don't know why, but it just does. But yeah, it's about going to a hot spring, and that's literally the game. If you see the cover of the game, which I might just flash it up on here just to show you the cover of the fucking game, it's it's a lot of you know. But in terms of like when it took me fucking 20 minutes to get to this part of the game where we actually finally get see some fucking gameplay, it's pretty similar to the previous game. Pretty similar, you know. There's not much difference. It's the same game. Just, well, it's a sequel, isn't it? But, you know, the gameplay is very, very similar. And I haven't got an issue with that. It's just again, too much fucking dialogue. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, we have the final PlayStation 2 game. Negima Dream Tactic Yume Miru Otome Princess. Once again, too much fucking dialogue. It literally took me like 20 minutes to actually get to the fucking game. I'm not even joking. It's just, But when we get to the actual game, it's not really much to talk about. It's like a really basic real-time strategy game. There's games I can think of, kind of, what it's like. But its isometric scale is more like, you know, it's basically like, okay, let's make a PlayStation 2 version of the DS games, right? Let's do that. That's what it kind of reminds me of, right? Ignore those cards. I don't know why they have that, but yeah, okay. But yeah, it's just basically a real-time strategy. You got a bunch of girl characters, you know, your students, and you go and put them up against these, like, I guess, fictional characters. I think we get trapped in a book or something. I think that's the story. I can't remember. I didn't really care. At this point, it was just a bit too much. A bit too much of these games. You know, it got to a point where I was with these Negima games where I just had enough, if I be completely honest. Just like I have kind of a little bit with his videos, just had enough. I'm already just, like, sick of talking about these Negima games. Maybe that's the reason why nobody's really talked about them, right? But yeah, it's a basic real-time strategy. You know, it's kind of hard because there's more enemies than there are of your characters, and they hit you just as hard as you hit them. So it kind of feels like you would die before they would die, so how would I win the battle? Maybe I'm not supposed to win the battle. I don't fucking know. And I don't really care. Because it's just, I got kind of bored playing this. You know, could have at least had the cool kind of animations you got in Earth Defense Force Tactics, where you could have seen the two characters clashing in some 3D arena style, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. But no, of course not. Anyway, let's move on to the final game, shall we? And finally, we have the final Negima video game, exclusively for the Nintendo Wii. And what, literally, I'm not even joking, the game with the shortest title, Mahou Sensei Negima Neo Pactio Fight. Developed by Shade and published by Marvelous Entertainment, because obviously they published all the Nintendo-based games. And by far, this is the best Negima game. It is the best one. It's not great, but it's the best one. Actually feels like, actually feels kind of a little bit fun playing this, if I be completely honest. So basically, it's a party-based game. Not party, but you know what I mean. It's an arena-based fighter, which it kind of feels like a party kind of mode, kind of like One Piece Treasure Battle, if you've ever played that, or some of the other One Piece, maybe like One Piece Grand Battle Rush or Grand Adventure games for the PlayStation 2. You're in this arena, a bunch of items just fall from the sky. You can pick them up and throw them at your opponent. Some of them power you up, some of them don't. Some you have these these things that might appear on the stage that happen every now and then that can help you. It's not really about it's not massively about fighting. You do have a health bar, and yeah, once you reach 0, that's it. But it's not really about fighting until the goal is to beat your opponent, is to get their health bar to 0. But you also have these things happen in the stage, like just now you saw she became the winner of that little competition, which was destroy all these statues. You get a health bonus with it. You become the winner, it boosts your health up, and you can stay in the fight a little bit longer. It's not particularly hard. I found the game pretty easy. I only played 2 matches, but both matches I won. I played as Negi in the second one. Sometimes these cards appear on the ground. And for Negi, they don't really seem to do anything, but for some other characters, they power the character up and make him more stronger for a limited time, allow him to do other moves. It doesn't really feel like that you can really attack your opponents particularly well. Literally, you just press one button and he does one move, press the other button and he does one other move. There's no real combos here. See, I have way more to talk about this game than I do the others, because I played it. I played it for literally the same amount of time as the other games, but I felt like I was able to see way more of this game in comparison. What's my real complaint about the game, if I would say, and if I'd be completely honest? It's very basic. It's very basic, In all fairness, there you go. They've got a special move going on, so they do have special moves in here. And no, I'm not going to go and try and do a specials video for Negima games. I did it for Sakigaki at Tokujuku, but I don't think I could be bothered for this game, if I'd be completely honest. Yeah, and that's pretty much all of it. It's got a nice anime graphic style to it. Music's fine, I guess. There isn't really much to say. In this little mini game you see here, is supposed to go around collecting the most coins. You collect the most coins, you become the winner, and it boosts your health back up. See, watch my health. It should boost it back up. Boom, there you go, full health. So yeah, and that's the game. I don't really think much of it, but it's better than what I've played previously from Negima games, and that's about it. And that was all of the Negima games. I'm going to be completely fucking honest with you right now. It was a drag to play through these games. It wasn't like the previous anime games I played, like playing through the Saint Seiya games, playing for the Sakigaki and Tokujuku games. They weren't a drag to play through. These were a drag to play through. The only game I actually even remotely enjoyed was the Wii game. And I couldn't even play that properly. I forgot to mention, but I couldn't play that properly because for some reason, even though it said on the back of the box it had controller support, it wouldn't recognize my fucking controller. It wouldn't register it. And I even tried another game to see, well, maybe there's an issue with my controller. No, it worked on that, so who knows? I had to play it with emulated Wii remote, which basically meant my mouse and my mouse and the fucking keyboard. It wasn't great. So yeah, I had a bit of issues with that game, but I still had the most fun out of all the other games with it. So the other games were a drag. Some of the games were a bit iffy, let's be honest, very iffy, especially with those 0-18 ratings. Really, what the fuck? Yeah, so that's Negima games for you. I'm hoping that the next anime I choose to look at the video games of is going to be more interesting than this. I haven't decided yet, but I'm hoping it's going to be more interesting than Negima was. So yeah, either way, thanks for watching. I hope you've had seen some interesting about this. I didn't really want to spoil the story of Negima in case people looked at this and thought, oh, I might be interested in looking at the story. I'm not going to try and spoil it. It's a Google search, really. and I don't want to artificially lengthen the video longer than I fucking have to just to spend 5 minutes explaining the story, where you can look at it in your own time by just typing it on Google and just reading it then and there. You know, I don't want to waste 5 minutes of your time. You know, I've already wasted enough time with this fucking video, right? Am I right, boys? Anyway, I've been Bio. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.